Welcome to this new episode of KET Talks, the podcast of KET Magazine. As you can see on our YouTube, we are on a beautiful spot. And it's a hidden spot, but it's a beautiful spot. It's on the Chalet Robinson in Bois de la Corne. And why are we here? It's because there's a brand new concept. It started last week, and here we are again. So we wanted to know more. So Amaury, you're organizing it. So
Hello.
tell us everything. Hello,
Yes.
welcome. Yeah.
Hello, welcome to you
Yeah,
at
exactly.
FIKA FIKA.
Thank you for having us. So,
Yes, thank you. So yes, FIKA FIKA, we created it with Lex from the La On, the party in the church in Spirito.
yeah.
And I'm the organizer of Les Après-midi Croque Monsieur.
Mhm.
And we decided post-COVID to celebrate, to make a new party together, to join forces and yes, to develop something different outside this summer, every Sundays, here in the Chalet Robinson.
It's true that it's in open air, so it's
Yeah.
COVID safe, total COVID
Total.
safe. And we were here last year for the opening, and it's just amazing to be
Thank you.
outside and together, and nice music and sun
Thank
and
you.
everything. So it started last week. So
Yeah.
till when is it going?
Till the end of August, every
All
Sundays.
summer.
All the
Okay.
summer, yeah.
Well, I think
With a perfect weather.
yeah. So how can we get here? There's a little boat, but you need a ticket.
Yes, you can buy pre-sales tickets. You can find the link on the bio on the Instagram account of FIKA FIKA. And yes, the pre-sales are at 10 euros. And after that, enjoy the sun, the people here. And
Yeah, and I see
Right.
there's like a big DJ set, so it's like a couple of DJs coming.
yeah, we have different DJs. The lineup is done by Lex
Yeah.
with you, darling. Also
If
next
Iran will be
week.
part- yeah.
That's the big announcement for the following week. I'll be playing, but stay tuned.
Yeah. And yes, we have so Lex every Sundays. We had last week Charlie and Chaplin with Sophie. We have today Moss. Yes, plenty of nice DJs.
The music we love.
Yeah.
At what time does it start?
From 5 p.m. till 11:30 for this week, and we hope new measures for
yeah, it's 11:30 now.
yes,
Yes,
yeah.
amazing. Back to
Last
life.
week at 11.
Yeah, last week
Yeah,
at
because
11.
you have the boat.
Okay, and next day is Monday.
Yes. Thanks God.
Okay. Well, thank you, Amaury, and thank you
so
for
much.
having us.
And welcome here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, the topic of the day, let's talk about that. It's one word, and that word is privilege. But of course, to talk about this, because I don't know anything about it, that's why I want to know more. And that's why I'm surrounded with Bogat. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Yeah, I feel already privileged to be here today with all of you guys in this beautiful summer day.
Yeah, it's amazing, huh? And Vincent, how's summer going for you?
It's going well. Finally, it's going well. Finally, we have some sun, some blue sky. We've been waiting for it for so long that we fully enjoy it today.
Yeah, and we missed you the last podcast because we're talking about that, but we're happy you're back now.
Yeah, I'm back with the sun.
And of course, Veran is here too. How are you feeling now?
I'm feeling amazing. My juices are flowing. Look at this
Again?
surrounding. I mean, this Chalet Robinson, FIKA FIKA. They're doing it right. They're doing it
It's
right.
nice here. And I think it's the right place to talk about privilege. No?
Well, we'll see in the
I
discussion.
think, yeah, maybe I'm also worried. So I will just shut up now and ask you, Vincent, why do we hear that word or the concept around that word so often?
So, we are targeting today a tricky concept. So, we are trying to have a discussion and to try to really understand what it means. I will try to give you a few blocks to set the stage, and then we can discuss it. So, privilege is often misunderstood because we all know what the word means in everyday life. If someone is privileged, if someone has more than the norm, more than the usual, you see, like, for example, more money, you see, they are privileged because they have something more than the norm. And actually, in sociology, when we talk about social privilege, we talk about something a little bit different. And there is often a big confusion between the word in everyday life and the word as it is used, especially in the LGBTQI+ context. So, to have social privilege, it's like a good cocktail. you need a few ingredients. So first, I will talk about the different ingredients you need. You need a human society. This is the basic. And you need in this society to have different categories of people on different
Right.
concepts.
Okay.
For example, on sexual orientation, on gender, on age, on disability. So on all these topics, you will have different categories of people. And that is the second ingredient. And the third ingredient, which is something that is key to the concept of privilege, is that the society has to be organized for one category in particular, around one category. So one of these category is actually taken as the norm, as the reference, as what is used to build the society. So these are the different elements. And you need all these three elements, so a society with categories where one of the category is the reference, the norm, to be able to create or to lead to privilege. So what is this social privilege? The privilege refers to the rights and unearned advantages, and I stress unearned advantages, enjoyed by people just by the fact that they belong to the category that is considered the norm, the reference.
Okay.
So you have to be sort of born into it.
Yes, it's not something that you earn. It's not something that happens because you did something, you know. It's because of who you are and the category you belong to.
But this is social privilege that
Yeah.
we talk about.
Yeah, this is a social privilege, what we will discuss about it. And so it means that this kind of privilege is not something you strive for, it's not something you earn, it's something that happens.
It's there.
It's there.
Okay.
You have nothing to do. Just because you are in the category that is the norm, you get it. Let's take an example.
Yeah.
So if we talk about sexual orientation, it's a concept where we have different categories of people. We have heterosexual people, homosexual people, bisexual people, asexual people, pansexual people. So we have different categories around this concept of social orientation. And the fact is that our Western society in general is built around the concept that heterosexuality is the norm. It's the reference.
So heterosexual people are privileged,
So heterosexual people are privileged
but based on what's
based on the fact that the whole world around them is built around the fact that heterosexuality is the norm. So
Because they reward it. I mean, the society
Yeah.
rewards the fact that
but it's a bit tricky. It's like it's a reward, but a reward that you do nothing for. It's
Yeah.
just
Mhm.
because the world around you is built in the way of thinking that everybody is heterosexual. The fact that you are gives you a privilege. To understand it, you can see that the people who are not heterosexual, they will be discriminated.
But that was going to
Yeah.
be my question. Like, I am a gay man.
Yes.
So in which way in my daily life am I unprivileged?
So you are on this respect of social of sexual
Sexual.
orientation.
Yeah, on the sexual orientation. Huh?
You're not belonging to the norm,
Yeah, no,
which
I don't.
is heterosexual people.
Yeah.
So it means that you will encounter in your daily life discrimination.
Okay.
So you can see actually social privilege as the other side of the coin of discrimination. If a category A is discriminated regarding category B, it means that category B has a privilege over category A. So I think it's a way to understand it, to say like, okay, if there are people who are discriminated, then there are people who have a privilege. It's a little bit
Okay.
the other way around.
dichotomy between those two.
So what's the problem in other people calling out white gay men for being privileged? That's very common lately in the LGBTQI plus community, and I feel called out very often just by the fact that I'm a white gay man. And some other people tend to say that we are privileged by being white gay men. But what is wrong about doing it and calling out white gay men for being privileged by just existing?
So it's a big question to answer in the way that what it means is like because you did nothing to earn that privilege, it's very difficult for people to realize or acknowledge that they have a privilege, which is often the barrier that you encounter or you face. Because this way of seeing privilege is not, I would say it's not having more than others, it's not having less.
Yeah.
And this is difficult because if you we tend to look at the people who have more and say they are privileged. We tend not to look at the people who have less and think that we are privileged. So that's one barrier.
Okay.
When you say white, cis, man, gay, what you're called is like you're a man, which is one category that is privileged. You're white, which is one category that is privileged in our society. You're cisgender, which is a category that is privileged. You're gay, which is a category that is not privileged. But within the LGBTQI plus community,
Compared to some
compared to others,
Yeah.
you're more privileged, for example, than
the trans person.
Yeah,
or-
but-
trans people,
but-
intersex people, of color, you know.
Yeah.
So there's a scale.
Yeah, that's the whole question. It's like people tend to go into a kind of contest of who is the most privileged or not, which
Or the
at
most
the end-
discriminated.
Yeah.
I've heard of that like WASP, but that relates to North America, where like white Anglo-Saxon Protestant cisgender straight person is the most privileged person in the
Yeah.
world. Like you're just born into this, and you don't have to struggle one day of your life,
Yeah.
basically.
so which is not. I mean, which is true. The problem of privilege is like for each category, each concept, you know, for age, for sex, gender, sexual orientation, disability, nationality, ethnicity, race, body morphology, on all the concepts, you know, you have categories. It means that on each concept, you have people who are privileged and people who are discriminated. So it's a lot of intersectionality, as we say, between all these concepts. And the point in the concept of privilege is checking yourself for who you are, the categories you belong to in the society you live in, and to try to think, okay, where are my privileges? You know, because everybody has privileges, everybody. So it's more, you know, there's a lot of calling out and on this.
And I think in activism, calling out is one way to approach privilege.
Yeah.
But the other way is looking at, all right, let's see and let's teach people to realize their own privilege. That's the first step. And then what we do with our privileges? What do I do with my privilege?
Yeah, because it's not your fault. You're white.
It is a possibility for me to do something good with it.
Yeah.
You know, because for example, it's true as a white gay man, probably I have more privilege than a POC trans person.
Yeah.
But what I can do, I can use my privilege to open up doors for the ones who have no as strong voice as mine, or they don't have as many privileges as mine. So I think what is important for us is to realize what kind of power we gain from our privileges, and that we do something good with it.
Yeah, I think with in the world of social media, everybody likes to point fingers, but not actually doing something about it. So we have to also find a way of how we're going to address privilege, acknowledge our own privileges, and then fight the system in a way where people that are unprivileged can come in the come and have the same opportunities as the privileged people.
Yes.
I think it's one of the key is it's something that is unearned, you know.
Yeah.
So it makes no sense to call out people because they are white, because they are cisgender, because they are heterosexual. That's not the point. You're not you're not
exactly
criticizing them for that. What you can criticize them for is for not acknowledging their privilege in being that. And that's a key difference.
Isn't the issue there? Like that you're pointing people, you're that, and then what's next? Because I see that on like friends I have on Facebook or on the real life who are white, cis men, straight, everything is like the norm to be completely privileged. They feel attacked because they are that. And they
feel
should
attacked.
attack them because maybe they don't do something.
Yeah,
they don't act.
People often feel attacked because they think that their identity is attacked. You know, like who they are is attacked. And this is the wrong way to treat the Christian of privilege. You have to attack them in the way that they don't acknowledge that the fact that being a white cisgender straight man gives them an advantages in life, and that's the whole issue and the nuance here that has to be made, because then people try to turn the question of privilege in another direction, which is completely unfruitful.
But it's also that we have to see people in their own context, of course. When I attack you, for example,
Don't attack me.
Hypothetically, because you are a white man, maybe I discard certain elements in your life. For example, your economic status or your educational level, or just circumstances in your life that made your own life difficult. So I don't really see much point really going after people and calling them out for these kind of privileges that they were born into. Or we can point out certain aspects and have a discussion about it, and then we can learn how to use. We can make them understand how they can use their power to help me, who are maybe I'm less fortunate in certain aspect, and so on and so on. So I think I heard a very good text from Angelica Ross. She's a trans activist, and she said that there was a point in her life when she realized that indeed, even when she was dirt poor, she was transitioning at that point, and she had no job, and she was really, really struggling. Still, she realized that she had certain privileges compared to her friends, because let's say we can say she was passing. You know, in a way, she could pass into society as a cisgender woman, and that point was really a turning point for her, because she realized that she has still, in her own context, she has power, and I think that's super important for us to realize that power, what we have, coming from our privileges, we can do really good things.
I have probably a stupid question, but I don't care. Is happiness linked to privileges?
I would
It's not a stupid question. But
Yeah, I would say it. I mean, the more privileged, I would say it helps, and on that point, I would use what a sociologist in the U.S. called Michael Kimmel that has studied privilege says. So it compares it to the wind, and he says like being privileged is like walking with the wind.
Yeah,
so
but
you
it's
don't
easy. You don't have struggles.
Yeah, you don't realize it, and you're pushed. You know. So when you're privileged, that's the whole idea. It's like even if you are not realizing it, there is something that is pushing you further than other people. And if you are not privileged, you're walking into the wind against it. So this is the comparison. So and that's why the same way that, you know, when you walk and there is wind and you turn around, suddenly you realize that, oh, actually I was walking with the wind.
I like that comparison.
So it's exactly that. So you don't call out people because they are walking in the wind and don't realize what it brings. I mean, it brings them something. The point is like they have to realize it brings them something. And that's the whole concept of privilege. You have to realize that in a society where heterosexuality, cisgenderism is the norm, then you have advantages that other people don't.
So, which means that real privileged people, they don't understand it because they never had the wind in their face?
Exactly. They never had the wind in the face, which was at the beginning. It's like it's sometimes difficult to acknowledge the privileges because you were born into it and you don't even realize that you are privileged. That's why we should all take a moment to dive in and look into ourselves and see what are our privileges, what are we doing with it, and how can we fix it.
Yeah, and then also we can say that pointing or going after someone, it's not enough.
Yeah.
It's not enough, and it's counterproductive.
Yeah.
But we have to educate people. We have to educate ourselves. We have to educate them how to see their own privileges, and also after that we have to ask them to help us tell other people who are in the same privileged group to do the same. So we have to create a chain reaction because we cannot do this alone. You know, not one minority group can do the work on their own. because they are really not able to. We are not able to do that
So
without our help.
I know that I cannot speak for the people of color because I myself am not a person of color, but in this context I can speak for gay men. What we should do and what we should address is like not to call out straight people just for being straight, but understand that we should maybe let them know that they are privileged and make them understand what privilege means in this certain specific context.
Yeah.
And I believe that also some people of color should understand that just by calling somebody for being white, they're not helping a thing. They're not doing a change, that they should let white people and sort of educate them and make them understand that they, by being white, are privileged because the society is built around white people. So we should change the system, but not by pointing fingers and not by calling out, and definitely not by being angry at a certain group, whichever.
But
subgroup
aren't you,
it is.
when somebody calls you out gay or faggot or whatever, how do you react?
No, but that's another thing. That's like that's a person that just calls me out for being gay, who's being a homophobic person and is
Yeah.
bashing me. That has nothing to do with my privilege.
Now, I think what in what you say, what is interesting in the way you say it is like when you're discriminated, you turn to you look at the categories that are not, and that's one of the issue in a way with privilege is like we tend to look at the others, and the gays will call the straight people, and the trans people will call the cisgender people. So it's easy to recognize when you're
Privilege in others.
discriminated
Yeah,
the
again.
people who, but you don't really realize the other categories. And I
Yeah.
think within also the LGBTQI plus community, there's the work to be done by every people before at the same time as we call straight people or cisgender, we have to call ourselves,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to realize that within our community there's a strong diversity, and we have to question our own privilege with regard to other people within our own community before also starting to call out straight people like outside the community. I think it's both an internal and external work we have to do, amongst ourselves and
Mhm.
within the rest of the society.
For
Yeah.
myself, I feel and I think I am privileged. I don't have to complain about a lot of things, but there's still questions. The other day we were booking an Airbnb, and it was like, ooh, how will they react if we say we're a gay couple?
Yeah.
Yeah, but these are the kind of microaggressions,
Yeah.
as we call them, that are typical of privileges. It's like
You don't have to ask yourself all those questions we're asking ourselves.
if you don't ask yourself those questions, then you
You
are
are
privileged. If you're a straight person and you never wonder if it's a place where you could hold hand with your partner, you are privileged just because of that. So it doesn't have to be like tangible aggressions. It's just the fact that society is built in a way gives some people a privilege and some people a disadvantage.
It's true, and when it's an accumulation of being underprivileged, it must be, difficult.
So I need a solution.
Yeah.
How to fight privilege? How
Yeah.
to address it? How to talk about it? And how to make people understand exactly this? How to make, for example, straight people understand what is it like to book an Airbnb and not wonder whether your host will accept you for being gay or
Yeah.
I think it's
Vincent,
not
you know
accepted for
everything.
being-
No, I wish I would know everything, but I don't. No, I think it's exactly what we said. It's education. It's pointing out privilege, but not in a way that will be aggressive.
Mhm. And it's so
with,
easy now.
With,
It's
with
super
Black
easy.
Lives Matters or other similar movement, you see some videos that are made that are just making this list of privilege
Yeah.
and showing them to other people. And this is a way to say, when people read, and actually it's how it started in the 80s. We have this article that was published where a girl just listed her the privileges, like the male privilege and the white privilege in
Mhm.
America. Just a list of 40 plus
And
sentences, and that's where the concept was reused and
Okay.
entered. So it's just by making this list, and I think it's what everybody has to do. Try to think and make a list of the things you are privileged for,
yeah,
And then also, I think what is important is when you make that list that you're being privileged for, you also you can feel positive about it. You can feel glad that you have it, because once you understand that this is something that is be happy for, you also understand that when people using discrimination, that's the negative effect, you know.
Mhm.
That's where you have to say like, okay, I'm glad for these privileges, but I'm also aware that some other people, they do not enjoy the same privileges. And I
Yeah.
think that's when the learning kicks in,
Yeah.
because then it increases your empathy towards those people
Yeah.
who have no privileges like that. And then you start thinking, okay, what can I do in my own capacity, in my own power, to help those? Is it spreading information? Is it being an activist? Is it just, you know, pointing out my privileges to others, so maybe they kind of mimic it?
Mhm.
You know, there are different ways to do it. But yeah, my thinking and my issue is that often I see a very negative conversation about privileges, and
Yeah.
it shouldn't be only negative, you know.
So
That's
which
how I feel.
advice can we give to our listeners?
So for me, the advice would be first, try to think of all these categories I mentioned. So I can say them again: social class, age, body morphology, which is mean height and weight, you know, but also disability, ethnicity, nationality, race, sex, gender, sexual orientation, religion, and the list can go on. So on all these concepts, just try to think, what category I belong to? Is it the norm in the society I live in? Because it's also another important point I wanted to make. Privileges depend on the society you live in. They won't be the same in France, in Belgium. They won't be the same in the US. They won't be the same in India. In all societies are built around different categories that are considered the reference. So it's something very local, you know, in your life also. And to wonder, okay, am I in the privilege category, the one where things are built around? And what does that mean? And what can it mean for people who are not in the same category? What do they have to do that I don't? What is the mental charge that they have that I don't? And if you start doing them, I was starting, it's like, even inside the LGBT community, if you think like, I have not suffered genital mutilations at birth. If you have not suffered genital mutilation at birth, you're privileged.
My God,
Because
yeah.
almost all intersex people have
They-
suffered
yeah.
genital mutilation at birth. If you've never been misgendered, you're privileged. If you've never been asked how your genitals look like, you're privileged.
Well,
if you
I
can
was kind of asked sometimes,
not
but it's
that
not
way.
really linked.
And you
to
were
that.
misgendered
way.
whenever you answered the phone.
True.
if you don't have to come out, you're privileged. If you're not afraid of being refused service for anything, you're privileged. If you're not afraid to go to some parts of your city, you're privileged. You know, so trying to think of all this concept and ask yourself. You know, it's something that has to be made on a very individual level.
This is a
Yeah.
whole checklist. My
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
But
I-
then you can also do the same exercise within your family, you know, as a family bonding activity. Like, dear mama and papa and dear siblings,
They won't
let's
get it.
check our privileges all together. I think it would be very interesting to see,
Yeah.
because even in our close relationships, in close family relations, maybe they don't know it. They are not aware.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's by doing this kind of exercise, just trying to think of these categories, of these privileges, that people start to be educated about
Yeah.
it and understand. And this is done, as Bogat said, in a positive way. Because there is no point, again, to blame people for something they have not done anything about.
Yeah.
So the homework for our listeners is do the checklist, think about it,
Check your
talk about
privilege.
it, check your privilege, and talk about it. Great, great. Thank you, Vincent. I think I get it a little bit better now, and I think I will do that work.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I think it's I'm continuing mine.
You should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vincent. I always feel so enriched after our conversations. I feel like I've learned something new each episode.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you very
Indeed.
much. I learned a lot by preparing it also.
And you know what? Now we'll learn like something about a book or a movie or a series, Bogat.
Yes, today I brought you a book recommendation. So it's a book from 2021 called Kink. It's an anthology of
Kink with a K?
kink. Yeah,
Ah,
like
ooh, okay.
I have a kink, you know.
I do.
And it's an anthology of literary short fiction. So basically, it's short stories compiled together by R.O. Kwon and Garth Greenwell. And it's basically about kinks, BDSM, intimacy, but also about consent and how we look at the practice of BDSM, how we look at kinks, how we play with kinks, and it's very, very funny, very fresh, very daring, all these short stories. But of course, it's also about profound intimacy and profound connection that we can attain through playful BDSM, kinky sexual activities. So I really recommend it to everyone to delve into and dive into the book of Kink. It's a book from 2021, so it's very, very fresh.
Oh, okay.
And
Very
after
good.
COVID, I think it will give us a lot of ideas for the summer.
To
We are
spice up your life
curious,
also.
yes.
Indeed.
Fantastic.
Great. Thank you, Boga.
Welcome.
And I hear that the music is like slightly going up. I think soon. Huh? So,
Yeah.
Vieran, you have some music advice for us now.
Yeah, just before Fika Fika starts, we're gonna give you a recommendation. You know who's back with the new song?
Yes.
Oh,
It's
my
Yes, tell us.
Lordy.
Yes.
How do you
Lordy? Lordy?
It's Lord.
Lord.
She says Lord, but she just added an E to like feminize the word Lord because she got an obsession with aristocracy and with all the things related to it. So she realized that the word Lord doesn't have a feminine
Counterpart.
counterpart. So she just feminized it with an E.
So to
But you pronounce
officialize
Lord.
it now, it's Lord.
Yes, and Lord is back in full swing. She just released her new song, Solar Power, which is announcing a new album that is going to be released sometime this year. We still don't know when. It's a very interesting song that talks about, summer and how she feels when the heat comes. And the video is amazing. She looks like she started a new cult somewhere in New Zealand on the beach. I don't know actually where the video was recorded, but you should definitely take a look. And I'm excited because, she's my age, so I always feel like she's my friend whenever I listen to her albums. Back in 2013, when she released her first debut album that she got the critical acclaim for, Pure Heroine, if you remember, with Royals and Team. She blew up in the world, and then it took her 4 years to record a new album, Melodrama, which was again praised with critical acclaim. And now it took her, guess what? Another 4 years to come up with a new album. She's recording at her own pace. She's not paid, not sponsored. She does it when she feels like it. I remember last year during lockdown, she said that she's been inspired by the piano and that we should expect a new album to be more piano-based. And then she said that she was also shocked by the sudden death of her dog that she took everywhere with her. So it inspired her in some songwriting as well. So I'm really curious what she's going to come up with. The song is called Solar Power. Lord, our New Zealand queen of alternative pop, is back. And please don't forget to check out Fika Fika as well. Fika Fika is an event here at Chalet Robinson, as we said. It's on every Sunday.
And who is playing like on the 20th of June?
On the 20th of June,
It's Vieran, I heard.
Wow, the debut.
I'll be playing next
So,
week.
if you want to meet your idol, dear listeners, you come to Fika Fika on Sunday 20th, and you will see him being behind the DJ set.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Big shout out to Lex from On Sundays and to Amaury from Croque Monsieur for organizing this incredible event that will make summers in Brussels very, very special to us. So check out Fika Fika on Instagram.
And soon the party will start, so we'll finish this episode. Guys, Vincent, especially thanks to you because I learned so much about being privileged. I said for myself, about the word privilege and the whole concept around it. So we learned
A lot.
A lot.
We did.
And we had fun.
And
So thank you, Boga. It was great again.
Well, thank you.
Vieran, we're curious for next week, but still thank you for now.
Thank you.
Okay. So to everyone, I hope you had fun and you also learned something. Don't hesitate to check everything on the website ket.brussels or check out the social media. Thank you to Visit Brussels for supporting us. And thank you for Chalet Robinson and FIKA FIKA for hosting us. So for now, we say
Yay.
bye-bye and enjoy summer.
Bye
Au
bye.
revoir.
Bye.